porque voy a tener una charla con alguien que admiro mucho, una voz realmente espectacular. Ha sido el primer vocalista de Malmsteen, armó Talisman en los 80, pasó por Takara, la banda de mi querido amigo Neil Groski. Su voz ha pasado por Siberian Orchestra, Axel Rudipel, Humanimal, Human Clay, Soul Circus, Wet, Son of Apollo, Journey. I want to call it Journey. Y fue la voz de Max Wolver. Tenemos a nada más y nada menos que mi querido amigo Jeff Scott Soto.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Hola, ¿todo bien?
Todo bien. Si puede hablar en español, todo bien, pero no habla mucho en español.
I know. Do your best. Do your best. You know. This is mainly for Spanish. I know.
Yeah.
I feel that you can be fluent in Spanish. I won't push you. Okay.
Okay.
But I feel that you can speak better than you think you can.
I'll tell you a funny story. When the first time I played in Puerto Rico with Journey, I was doing an interview before the show, and my friend Alex Llorens, he's a fellow Puerto Rican. He lives here in Los Angeles, but he flew to Puerto Rico. He wanted to see the show. He went to see his family. And he said, man, I got this great interview with television. It's amazing. Please, if you could do it in Spanish, it would be great. I go, of course, no problem. Habla español, entiendo todo, no problema. So we start talking, and the girl said, pa, 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 pa. I'm like, maybe we should do it in English. And then she starts saying, pero no puedo hablar en inglés. And then mi amigo Alex me dijo, I'm living in Los Angeles so long, I don't speak Spanish anymore. I'm the worst person to translate. It was a complete mess. So I did my best, but it was a nightmare. It's better to do it in English.
I'm totally fine with that, and I'm gonna be translating on spot. So after your answers, probably gonna take a few minutes because I want people understand what we are talking about right at
you know what? I'll try to do it in Spanglish. So that way I can do it kind of half and half, and I get to practice my Spanish a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, you know, people really appreciate when you do the efforts. You know, especially considering that you are Latino. I mean, your family is from Latin America, even though Puerto Rico, which is part of the U.S. You know. Yeah. Bueno, lo que estaba diciendo recién, Jeff, es que la habían entrevistado. Bueno. Fue con Journey yo dije Journey porque no le voy a preguntar qué onda con Journey, pero no sé, tengo una vibra de que por algo no está en Journey y sigue su carrera. We're going to talk about Journey, okay? But,
yeah. Okay, I understand everything you're saying.
Oh, okay, bien. El tema es que
entiendo todo, pero no puede hablar todo.
Bien. Bien. El tema es que fue a cantar con Johnny a Puerto Rico y le dijeron, bueno, vamos a hacer una entrevista en español. Dijo, sí, dale, vamos a hacerla, yo hablo perfecto. Y claro, le empezaron a hablar todo muy rápido y ahí ya se complicó. Entonces, el amigo de él, Alex, tampoco tenía practicado el idioma, así que quedó todo ahí.
Se cagó.
Se cagó, sí. Tenemos un montón de cosas que has grabado en el 2020, 2021. There's a lot of things you recorded. Acá tengo, lo último fue Retransmission from Wet. Saliste con el disco solista de Jason Bieler, de Saigon Kick. ¿Qué banda? Saigon Kick. Que has hecho coros en Saigon Kick, ¿verdad? Años atrás.
Sí,
you did some choruses.
First album, I did some backing vocals,
Yeah,
I know that Jason was the first touring guitar player for Talisman. So I met him before Saigon Kick, and he was doing the tour with us in Sweden in 1990. And after this tour, he went home, and we didn't know what. I thought Talisman was not going to happen anymore. So thank you very much. Se fue pa casa, and he started Saigon Kick. So everything worked out for everybody.
What a band! I love Saigon Kick.
Oh yeah,
you know?
Me too.
So what would you like to highlight? Because would you like to talk about the latest one, Wet, maybe?
Well, Wet is the latest release, but there's one coming out in a few months. It's I'm very proud of this. Earlier this year, Frontiers and I were trying to come up with ideas because of COVID, because of pandemic. We're not touring, so we have a lot of time to be creative in the studio. I mean, this is my home studio. I do everything here. I do Sons of Apollo, my solo albums. Everything is done here. So
I'm sorry. Are you based here in LA?
Los Angeles, yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So we were coming up with ideas. Okay, we don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know how long everybody's home. So in between albums, in between Wet, in between Jeff Scott Soto albums, we wanted to discuss some ideas of some other releases, something we can do to keep the music going, to keep the fans happy, to keep everybody not thinking about COVID, not thinking about lockdown, and to still be able to enjoy music. And they asked me if I wanted to do a covers album. Now, normally yes, but I've done so many covers in my life, in my career. If you look all around, there's so many covers that I've done. You could make like 4 albums of covers. I wasn't so interested to make a cover. Okay, what song should I do? No, that's not hard rock. I didn't want to deal with which songs to choose. So I said, how about a Jeff Scott Soto covers album? And they said, well, you're just going to re-sing something you already did with other bands. I don't know. I go, no. Let's do Jeff Scott Soto and Friends. Instead of me singing everything, I invite a different singer and mostly all Frontiers artists, because this was my idea. I want to push especially the new breed of Frontiers records. There's a lot of new bands, a lot of great new singers that I could give a little push, and they can give me a little something from their influence, because they're now the next generation of rock stars. And then, of course, I got some other names, and I said, if I can get these people to do my life, my career, from Yngwie, from Soul Circus, from Axel Rudy Pell, from Rockstar, instead of me just re-singing everything, now I'm singing as duet with my friends, with other singers. Wow, great idea. So I started all the calls and emails, and everybody said yes. I have on this album, I have Eric Martin, I have Russell Allen, I have Nathan James, I have Dino Jalusic, Mats Levin from TSO, from Yngwie. Who am I missing? Johnny Joeli, Eric Martinson. I'm missing some. And one of the most important ones, Dean Castronovo. As I was talking about Soul Circus, they wanted me to do a Soul Circus cover on the album, and it was a different song. And I said, I think we should do this song, Coming Home, because it's the most Journey-sounding song on the album. And if I get Dean to say yes to duet with me, imagine. And Dean's immediately say, yeah, well, let's do this. And so we're making a video in 2 weeks. We're shooting our video for it. And I think the album is amazing. It's coming out in October. And I'm so excited. We were doing, like I said, all the groups I mentioned. We're doing Talisman covers. We're doing a Yngwie cover. We're doing Rockstar. We're doing so many things from my life. But everybody that's singing on this album, I was like a casting director from a movie. Your voice would be great on this song. Your voice would be great on that song. It was really fun to put it together.
Oh my gosh, what a good news.
Now translate. Toda esa información.
Sí, bueno, a ver, vamos a ver cómo bueno, está, a pesar de que está, bueno, estamos hablando de Wet, pero lo que empezamos a hablar es de que el próximo proyecto es que le había propuesto la gente de Frontiers hacer un disco de covers. Él ha grabado cualquier cantidad de covers, de hecho en algún ratito vamos a hablar de uno de ellos, que es de Van Halen, pero vamos a dejarlo ahí. Y lo que pasa es que dice, hacer un disco de covers, tengo cualquier cantidad de temas, no tengo ganas de andar eligiendo las canciones, la verdad es mucho dolor de cabeza, y prefiero, ¿qué tal si, se me ocurre esta idea, le propone la gente de Frontiers, qué tal si hacemos covers de mi carrera, ¿ok? Pero cantados con otros cantantes, compartiendo, ¿no? Y les gustó la idea, bueno, empezó a llamar a sus amigos y apareció Eric Martin, Matt Levin, ¿Qué más? Bueno,
Nathan
todos
James,
los que...
Eric Martinson,
Johnny Joeli, que ambos
Dean
todos también. Dean Castronovo, que tiene una voz, es hijo de... Es increíble cómo canta.
Increíble.
Canta súper bien, él podría ser también la voz de Johnny tranquilamente. Tiene una excelente voz y está ahí atrás de la batería. Bueno, que va a ser una canción, una versión de Soul Circus, ¿ok? Yo tengo las dos versiones, las dos ediciones, la edición italiana y la edición americana. They used to send me from, they used to send me all the... Yeah, amazing. Y bueno, al final están trabajando en eso, van a estar grabando el primer video que creo, le voy a preguntar ahora, creo que el que va a hacer el video con ellos va a ser Enzo, que es un amigo mío que hace fotografía. Is Enzo Mazzio involved in the video? Because he's the one that's been doing all the video from Frontiers here.
No.
You know?
I work solamente trabajando con un director de Brasil. He's done all the Soto videos. I think maybe one video he didn't do. He did the first video from the first album, Break, and he did the Hypermania. He did another one called Torn, and he also did the from my recent solo album, the song Without You. He did. Amazing director, amazing, and it's difficult to work with him because he's in Brazil, especially since lockdown. I was supposed to do my filming with him for Without You in Brazil. I was supposed to be there with Sons of Apollo, and I was going to stay an extra 2 days or something, and then we were going to film. But unfortunately, because of COVID, I wasn't able to visit, and even it was difficult for him to film. I was able to find somebody here in Los Angeles to film me, and then he had to find 2 actors that were willing to leave the quarantine to go and film with him. So I got really lucky because the video came out amazing. It looks so good, and you would not think that it was filmed during the lockdown. It looks really, really good. So I'm using, his name is Tiago Keys. And he's amazing. He's doing also the video that I'm shooting with Dean, but of course the same thing. I have to film my parts here in Los Angeles, and he's going to film the actors and the whole sequence and the visuals. I don't like making videos, my personal videos, when I get to decide who the director, when I get to decide the visuals. I don't like to just make a music video that's boring, that's in a warehouse, that's in the same things that everybody's doing. It's not a no disrespect, but for me, I want mini movies. The way videos used to be when they had really big budgets, you could see them as more like short films, and this is what Tiago gives me. I give him the smallest budgets because there's no real budgets for videos anymore, but he finds ways to create these landscapes and these cinema looking videos for me. If you look at the video Without You, if you look at the video Hypermania, or and he's also working with a lot of my friends in Brazil as well. He's just amazing. Every video gets better and better and better. So he's doing the new video, and we're discussing today the treatment for the one I'm making for Coming Home with Dean.
That's good. Bueno, le pregunté porque casualmente un amigo mío es quien se está encargando de la mayoría de los videos de Frontiers, que es italiano también, pero en esta ocasión va a ser Tiago, que es un brasilero que ha trabajado con varios videos de Jeff, los últimos que ha mencionado recién, de sus últimas canciones, y ha trabajado hace rato con Jeff. Entonces él se va a encargar de la dirección del video, a pesar de que no está acá en Los Ángeles, está en Brasil. Y van a estar haciendo un poquito de filmación acá, y si no me equivoco, un poquito de filmación allá por parte de Tiago, ¿verdad? Tiago will be doing some shooting over there. You're gonna be, okay. Entonces han querido grabar el último video con Son of Apollo, pero no se pudo por esto de la pandemia. Pero bueno, en algún momento supongo que van a poder hacer un superfilm. Lo que le gusta de Tiago, porque lo que Jeff no quiere hacer es el típico video en un hangar, ahí en un galpón, sino que quiere hacer tipo mini películas, como ha sido históricamente, que los videos tienen por ahí una pequeña historia y ves toda una especie de mini película, y a él le gusta ese tipo de videoclips. Entonces eso es lo que quiere hacer con Tiago. Así que bueno, van a estar trabajando en este nuevo videoclip ahora en estos días. You're gonna be shooting here, right? In LA?
Yeah, Dean is flying down he lives in Oregon, so he's flying down.
Oh, he's in
Yeah, in a couple of weeks, and he said, "Should I get a room? You know, do we need 1 or 2 days?" I said, "We need a few hours. You fly in the morning, I pick you up, we shoot the video, and I'm taking you back to the airport to fly home that night."
He can stay here.
Yeah,
he can stay
of course.
here. Yeah. It's a small apartment, but he can stay here.
Well, and I offered him to stay, you know, to stay with us. We have a big house, but we're moving next month, so everything's in boxes. This is the last room I'm going to pack because I'm still doing things. I need my studio working. And so he said, "Man, it's no problem. He's busy anyways. He's got a new group with Jason Sheff and others from other big groups. I believe it's the Rise Above or something like that. I forgot the name of the group, but they're amazing. And he's constantly flying to Nashville. He's coming back today from Nashville, I think, or from Vegas. He's always busy. So I'm really, really happy I was able to get him, especially because of the timing, and he's going to come down. And I said, man, I only need you for a few hours. Come down, we'll film you, we'll send you home, and I'll take care of the rest.
That's great. And where are you moving? What area?
We're staying here. We're staying in Los Angeles. There was a few discussions about maybe leaving the state, and every time I move out of Los Angeles, I come back to Los Angeles. I've lived in Colorado. I've lived in Florida. I've lived in London. I've lived in different parts of the world. And every time I say, I end up back in Los Angeles.
If you need help with packing CDs, I can take some CDs from here. And
you know what? It's funny,
maybe.
Estaba hablando con mi esposa about I have a garage full of CDs from my career, CDs collecting. So I have at least 600, 700 CDs. I don't use them anymore. I have albums, so many albums, like this one right here. You know this one?
Yeah.
I have so much of this, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm 55 years old. I can't leave the world with this stuff. So I need to find somebody that wants to take this stuff. I don't want to sell it. I don't want to throw it away. Help me. I have. I bet you I have things that you don't have.
Okay, we're gonna talk about this, brother, hermanito. No.
It's a book. Of all my career and my life, but it's old now because that was released in 2014. And the past 7 years, I've done a few albums.
You know what? Probably I would say, at least 20 CDs, including Circus. You know, all the things you have done, and it's always every time that I get something from you. You know, when I buy something or Frontier, whatever it's like. You know, it's like good because I know I'm gonna enjoy it. You know, yeah, it's amazing. You know, the way you sing, you don't realize. I mean, people can tell you a lot of things, and you get commonly, you know, compliments but really you get in the heart. You know, you get in the soul of the people. And it's not easy to understand how much joy, how much passion you create in people's mind and souls. You know,
this means more than success. This means more than money. It means more than cars and whatever. To me, the feeling and the emotion that people feel that they get from music, the same as I get when I listen to music, when I feel something from music, I try so hard to make sure I give that back in my music. And so many years ago, and I still read it today, you know, people always complaining that nobody wants new music, especially for veteran artists like me. I've been around for almost 4 decades. 37 years I've been doing this for a living. And for my generation, my fans, they love the early stuff. They love the history. They love the classic. And I hear it all the time. Nobody's interested in new music. You play new music live and they go to the bar, they go to the bathroom. They only want to hear the old stuff. And I don't care. I love creating. I love coming up with the next level, coming up with something that's different, something that expresses who I am that I didn't get to do 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I love that I have that freedom of expression. So for me, I don't care if 5 people buy my music. For me, I have to keep expressing. I have to keep creating because I can't just live with the things that I've done in the past. I have to keep finding new ways to express myself. Yeah.
And I personally, I just say it and I repeat it. Every time that I get something new from you, it's like, okay, it's like watching a movie from Liam Neeson, you know? Do you understand what I'm saying? Or whatever is the example that works for you, because some people might not like, Liam Neeson. But every time that I watch, it's like, okay, I get ready, and the same thing happened to you, with your music. And it's not just a vain words that I'm saying toward your composition and music. Is just the way that I feel it, the way I receive the sound and the lyrics,
And it means a lot to me. Thank you. And you realize we've been talking a lot in English. You've neglecting the Spanish speaking.
Well, it's hard to keep the dynamic,
I know.
A ver, vamos a ver si podemos recapitular. Estábamos hablando, and help me if I get lost. Try to help me even if in English, okay? Estábamos hablando de que, él se estaba por mudar, que estaba empacando todo, le estaba mangueando discos como siempre, como a todos mis invitados, le estaba pidiendo que me separe algunos discos porque lo voy a ayudar con la mudanza, ¿ok? Vamos a ver. Y estábamos hablando, le estaba diciendo me estaba mostrando ahí su disco de Soto, su libro, me estaba haciendo desear ese muchacho ahí. Bueno, el tema es que estábamos hablando de su música, lo que significa para mí. Realmente tengo The Mash Control, tengo varios discos solistas de él, tengo Takara, miren lo que es Takara, firmados por él, obviamente. Sí. I'm not selling on eBay, okay? Here they are, okay? Talisman. Y esto es lo que agarré ahora. Esto lo agarré así antes de salir al aire, porque dije, bueno, si sale el tema los muestro, ¿ok? Pero tengo por todos lados discos de él y la verdad, cada vez que recibo un disco de él es como una película de Liam Neeson. Es como que me...
And a lot of people don't. And anybody who remembers or knows of the band The Poodles, I don't know if you know this band, The Poodles.
The Poodles, yeah. I love The Poodles.
The drummer right there, that's Jacob Samuelson, the singer from The Poodles. But he was a drummer back then. He was a singing drummer, and he was the first drummer for Talisman. So
I didn't know that one.
And it was after Talisman, after this first 2 albums, Jacob became a singer for The Poodles, and Jason started Saigon Kick. And me and Marcel did more Talisman albums.
Well, this one I think is signed by you and Pontus. This one is Pontus.
See.
Yeah. I thought it was Jason.
No.
Jason
didn't play on. He didn't play on any Talisman albums. He did a few.
No, he played.
Yeah. He did a few demos when we were touring.
Spot open for any Puerto Rican singer.
Oh no! Well, the album is done. The album is done. The album is mixed. It's already turned in, so it's finished. And the criteria for the album has to be names. It had to be people who everybody in the world knows in some parts of the world. And if you don't know them, they have to be Frontiers artists. That was my criteria. So, of course, Eric Martin, he sings for Mr. Big, and Mr. Big has done their last records with Frontier, so that was easy. Russell Allen, he did the Allen Lande, yeah. He did those albums for Frontiers, but Symphony X is not on Frontiers. Didn't matter. Russell is one of my dear friends, and we toured together with this Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and I had to have him on the album. Johnny Joeli, of course, Hardline, and the Joeli Castronovo. There you go. There's the Frontiers connection. I'm trying to think. I think Mats Levin is one of the only ones that's not on Frontiers Records that's on this album. But again, Mats is a name in the industry that people know. He sang for Malmsteen, and he sang for so many other amazing and major bands in the world, including his own stuff that he's been doing. So people know who Mats is. I need to look at the list. I'm forgetting. This is what happens. I'm so crazy with everything that I'm doing. I forget my own world. I forget my own life. I forget the albums I play on. I just keep going. So yeah. I also have on the album Alirio Neto. Now he's just signed a new deal with Frontiers for a solo album, but he's the new singer in the band called Shaman, and it's a Brazilian band, and he's a Brazilian singer. Yeah. But he's also in the Queen Extravaganza. So I wanted everybody not only to be friends of mine, but I wanted to have a connection with everybody somehow. And because Alirio is now in the Queen Extravaganza, I sang in the Queen Extravaganza with Mark Martel when we started this back in, I think it was 2012. I forget all these dates. So this is why Alirio. And then we have a new singer. His name is Renan, but that's how they say it in Portuguese. Renan Zonta. He's the singer for a band called Electric Mob, and that's a new band on Frontiers that is blowing up. He's one of my favorite new singers next to Dino Jelusic. And when I asked Renan to do this with me, I didn't know the guy. I just assumed he knows who I am, and he went crazy. Like, are you kidding me? You're one of my favorite singers. You're one of my biggest influences. It's a dream. So for me, that means more to me to be doing this with people who are excited to do it and not just doing it because it's a job. The same passion you get from listening to the music, I want to work with people who have that same passion to work with me. So I got the same passion from Dean that I got from Eric Martin, that I got from Dino and Eric Martinson from Wet and Eclipse, of course. Everybody on here was so excited to do this, and I think people are really going to love this album. It's a new version of songs that they know. I didn't change the format of the songs. When you hear the version I did of Don't Let It End, the Ingve song that I do with Dino Jelusic, we do it as you remember the song, but hearing Dino sing my parts, it was like, oh my God, I was 18 or 19 when I did that, and now to have this young guy coming in and doing my parts as a young, it takes you to a strange place that you can't really describe.
Amazing. Bueno, le preguntaba si había espacio para más. El disco ya está hecho, así que vi que ahí yo había preguntado si había espacio para gente de Puerto Rico. Bueno, obviamente que no, porque el disco ya está terminado. Lo que él quería era tener, obviamente, algunos artistas donde su nombre también empujase a que los fanáticos se interesen por el proyecto, y si no, gente parte de Frontier Records. En algunos casos los dos, obviamente. Ahí mencionó todos los nombres, como Eric Martin, no se quiere olvidar de nadie, pero son un montón de músicos que han participado en la grabación de este disco. Y bueno, básicamente es eso. Él quería realmente gente que le pusiera la pasión que me provoca escucharlo, que nos provoca escuchar su música, que esté ahí, que no sea simplemente por una cuestión laboral, una cuestión de trabajo. Le voy a preguntar ahora con respecto a ver, él sacó discos como bajo Chef Soto y bajo Soto, y me gustaría saber si hay una diferencia en eso. There's any difference between what you release as Chef Soto and Soto?
Yes, absolutely. Soto for me was a return to the heavier side of my life, the heavier side of my career, because when I joined Journey and I even Talisman, it was more of a hard rock band. It wasn't so heavy metal. Soul Circus was more hard rock. Wet is more hard rock. I established that side of my career, and I opened up a whole new I guess a whole new avenue for my voice to live in. I always loved hard rock music, and I always loved heavy metal, but I started as a heavy metal singer with Yngwie Malmsteen, with Axel Rudy Pell. People then started liking me as a hard rock singer, as a melodic rock singer, and I showed I could do that side, but unfortunately, I stayed on that path for so long that people thought that I forgot my heavier metal roots. And I missed it. I really missed it. And I like a lot of modern music. I have the Sirius XM, and I listen to a lot of modern music on there, the Octane and Liquid Metal and stuff like that. I love a lot of what's happening in the younger, newer sounds of metal. And I when I listen to it and I love it, I'm thinking, my God, I feel my voice would work so well doing that kind of stuff too. So this is what Soto was about. Soto was not about reinventing myself, but about kind of filling a void that was missing on the heavier side of my career. So Soto is completely different. It's completely removed from the hard rock, melodic rock side. And this is why even Soto is not on Frontiers, because Frontiers, they want to specialize on the hard rock, melodic rock side of my voice, more AOR side. And this is why my solo albums are more along that flavor. And when I do Soto, it's definitely going to be heavier. It's going to be more modern. It's more contemporary. And I'm not looking to forget everything that I've done or everything that I'm doing. I love expanding. I love adding to everything. I love challenging myself. Something like Trans-Siberian Orchestra, it gets me to challenge myself and to keep growing as an artist. And this is one of the most important things about music for me, is to be able to grow, to find new ways to express yourself instead of just putting the blinders on and doing the same thing everybody expects you to do for their entire career. That's not me.
Well, we were talking about this with Steve Lukather about some people are so scared to try new things to please their fans that they keep doing the same formula, you know, and they stay in the same path.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. No. You find success and you want to keep success, so you stay on a familiar path, and that's great. That's great for some. I never had the success of AC/DC or Metallica or Journey or Van Halen. I never got to that level. So I don't have to really worry about losing 30 million fans because I want to try something new. For me, I have a nice, good core of fans for all the things that I do. So I get to specialize and give them specialty items based on what they like. And this is the thing I talk about a lot when I do interviews, where people ask me, they say, Jeff, you're so scattered. Your whole career, you seems like you're doing funk one minute, and then it seems like you're doing hard rock and heavy metal, and then you're doing ballads, and then you're doing jazz. You blah 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 blah. And I say, well, it's the curse and the blessing for being so inspired and so influenced by a band like Queen. Queen came into my life, and they were the band that had no walls, no barriers, no boundaries. They said, we're going to do jazz, we're going to do blues, we're going to do funk, we're going to do opera, we're going to do metal, we're going to do rock, we're going to do everything. And we don't care what you think. When you're influenced from a band like this, it's almost impossible. It's impossible to just stay on one arrow. I have to keep expressing myself and finding new ways to chase that Queen level of doing everything and anything that interests me musically. And this to me is been the I guess everybody's chasing something in their careers. They're chasing success, they're chasing women, whatever. For me, I'm chasing the level of being able to do everything I ever wanted to do musically. And this is why I do so much music and so many different things, and I specialize in so many different things because I'm not satisfied by just doing one thing. And I have to blame Queen for this.
A ver, veamos. Bueno, le pregunté la diferencia entre sus discos de como Jeff Cole Soto y Soto, y lo que hace como Soto es mucho más pesado. Sus inicios fueron relacionados con el metal, sobre la música más rock melódica. Con los años los fans han encontrado de que su voz encaja perfecto para hacer hard rock y rock melódico, entonces empezó también a incursionar en eso. Y con Frontiers, por ejemplo, sigue toda esa parte. Lo que es Soto es más pesado, es más tipo lo que hizo con Malmsteen y esas bandas principales, y sale de manera independiente, lo saca él. A él le gusta hacer música de todo tipo. Su banda favorita lo acaban de entender que es Queen, y tales como Queen, que han hecho todo tipo de música y estilos y géneros, desde jazz, ópera, rock, metal, él también quiere que su voz llegue a ese tipo, a la mayor cantidad de tipos de estilos que su voz pueda dar, porque es lo que él quiere lograr en su carrera. Hay gente que quiere lograr fama, otras personas que quieren lograr chicas, y él simplemente quiere... Sí, está todo bien, sí, chicas, muchas, para mí. Y bueno, él básicamente cree, como hizo Queen, lograr un espectro musical lo más amplio posible. Lo cual me lleva a la siguiente pregunta, no la tenía acá armada, pero es, ¿qué estilos les falta por tocar? Porque hay dentro de la parte latina de cualquier cantidad, pero sin ir mucho a la parte latina, ¿qué estilos podrías llegar a extenderte en algún momento? Tal vez soul, de repente has hecho soul también. What music styles you would like to extend in the future?
I don't really have anything left that I want to experiment with. At this point, I just want to refine everything that I've already done and everything that you hear that I have done. I mean, I'm 55. Where else am I going to go?
You're still saying you are 55 because I think you look like 40 or something.
Yeah, it's the video. It's the lights. No, but to be honest with you, it's I think at this point in my life, I've done everything I wanted to try. And now I'm choosing the things that really make me happy, that I really want to expand upon. Like the sound I'm doing with Sons of Apollo is new for me because it's heavy like Soto, but it's progressive like Dream Theater and the things that Mike Portnoy and Derek Sherinian do in their lives. So I've never done that world. I've never been part of the progressive rock world. And now I'm being hired for other prog rock albums, and people now think I'm a prog singer. But I love that because it's something I got to do that I never did before. So now I want to take what I did with Sons of Apollo and I want to refine it. I want to keep exploring it and turning it into something that I wouldn't normally know what to do with because I wasn't part of that world. And then now I'm part of that world. And so it's the same thing with Soto. I want to take Soto's sound and keep growing with it. It's going to be heavy. It's going to be heavier than the other things that I'm doing with Jeff Scott Soto albums. But it has to go somewhere else. It can't just keep I can't repeat the same album over and over. I saw somebody put a question on here about would I be willing to do something with another singer from Puerto Rico. When I was there in 2018, we played in San Juan with Sons of Apollo. The promoters, they set up an after party for us after the show. The other guys were really tired. They were flying home the next morning. I stayed on. My wife and I, we stayed on to enjoy a few days in Puerto Rico and to really get to see the island. I haven't been there in so many years. Even when I was there with Journey, we were there with Def Leppard. It was part of the tour, so we didn't get to enjoy the time. So we decided to stay an extra few days, and I wasn't as tired. I said, I'm going to the after party. So we went to a place that I played last year. No, it was 2 years ago with Soto. It was the Handlebar. And I went there the first night. The promoters brought me there, and there was a band playing, and the singer was so good. He was so good, and I couldn't believe what an amazing voice. He spoke great English. I'm thinking, how is this guy not known outside of Puerto Rico? So we became friends, and now his name is David Moreno, and we keep in touch all the time. When we played with Soto in Puerto Rico, I brought him on stage to sing with us. He's for me, one of the great singers that I've discovered that I got to see singing in Puerto Rico in a hard rock band, and anything I can do to help him. And I would love to invite him for if I do another duets album. First, I want to try and get him a record deal, but if I can get him on Frontiers, then it makes sense. But I want to try and help him because I think he's an amazing singer. He's a great guy. He deserves to be heard. So, David, I don't know if he's watching this. I don't know if he knows this show, but I'm talking about you.
I know David. He is the singer from Deftones, right?
Yes. Wait, Deftones? No.
That's Chino.
Yeah.
I was joking.
Okay. He's singing for a well-known guitar player in Puerto Rico. Oh man, I can't remember the name.
Well, maybe Fisu, if you remember something, or someone is there, maybe someone can help you. Okay.
Yeah,
Don't worry.
yeah. Somebody know. I'm sure somebody knows who he sings for, but
Yeah.
I'm looking it up while we're speaking because I think I'll find it. Because he sent me some stuff, and he was singing with this guy. Oh my God, I think it's here. Anyways, let's keep talking. Well, I'll find it. And I'm sure you know.
Okay,
I'm sure you
okay.
know who this guy is. that
Estamos
he's singing
buscando
for.
para quién canta Dave Moreno, que no es Chino Moreno de Deftones, Está haciendo una broma
Ah.
a Jeff, ok. Estaba viendo, hablando de covers, estaba viendo el video de Van Halen, ok. Hicieron el cover con Demo, con Billy Sheehan y Dave McClain. How did you came up? ¿Cómo viniste con ahí está, con esta canción? How did you came up doing this particular song?
With who?
The Van Halen cover, the one we are showing right now with Phil, Demo, and Dave McClain.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was definitely Phil reaching out. Phil's one of my favorites. I love this guy. I love him as a person. I love him more as a person than I do as a guitar player. But I think he's a great talent. He's such a very, very dear friend and a very nice guy. He reached out to me saying, because he was doing a lot of these videos with his friends, and he said, and he knows how much I love Van Halen. He said, man, let's do one together, but we're not going to do Ain't Talking About Love. We're not going to do Running with the Devil. Let's go deep. Lost Control. And I'm like, yes, Tora Tora, let's go. And so I think he asked me, I think he was really asking me because he's like, do you think you could get Billy Sheehan to play on this? He was using me. But yeah, I mean, that was his idea. But of course, it was a lot of fun to do that. It's, I mean, like I said, I'm a massive Van Halen fan of both Van Halens, of all three Van Halens. I mean, one of my dear friends, also Gary Sharon. I love Sammy Hagar. I just love Van Halen. So, but when you take me back to the David Lee Roth years, it's always yes, and especially when Billy said he wanted to do it with us. Of course, we had to do it.
Amazing. Bueno, le preguntaba por este video que estamos viendo ahora. Fue idea de Phil Demel, ok. Y Phil parece que lo buscó para que traiga a Billy Sheehan, decía en broma. Él es fanático de todas las formaciones de Van Halen con Gary Sharon, que aparte es un excelente cantante. Y bueno, fue prácticamente una elección de Phil. No querían hacer algo muy tradicional, preferían algo un poquito más oscuro y encima bastante pesado, como se ve en el video. Básicamente fue eso lo que estaba compartiendo. Le voy a preguntar un poquito por Eddie Van Halen, si lo ha conocido, y alguna anécdota. Have you ever met Eddie and any story with him?
It's really, really too bad. It's probably my second biggest regret in life is never meeting Eddie. My first biggest regret in life is I never got to see Queen with Freddie Mercury. It's unbelievable. I never got to see Queen live with Freddie Mercury. And I consider Brian and Roger my friends. I'm not trying to name drop, so wow, he's talking about Brian May. I'm only saying it because I had this conversation with Brian once, and I told him it's one of my biggest regrets. I never got to see Freddie live with the band. And when he said, "Oh, it's such a pity," he goes, and when he said just after those words, he said, "Freddie would have loved your voice." I said, "That's it. I don't need to have it. I don't need to have a memory of seeing Freddie with Queen. I don't need to even see Queen anymore. The fact that Brian told me that Freddie would have loved my voice, I can die right now." So that means so much to me. And there was one opportunity to meet Eddie back when Neil and I started the band Soul Circus. Neil was working with Sammy and Michael Anthony on another thing called Planet Us. And the only reason Planet Us didn't continue is because Michael and Sammy went back to Van Halen, and the only reason why Soul Circus happened is because they went back and Neil was looking for a singer to continue working on this material. So it was great for me. but it was bad for the Planet Us thing. And so on that tour, I went to go see Van Halen, and I met Al for 1 second. And Eddie he was in during that time, he was kind of messed up. He was in a world where nobody could talk to him, and he was really, and I don't have to say anything. People know what the condition Eddie was during that time. And I don't want to say anything bad about him, but he was removed. He wouldn't come to the meet and greets. Not that he ever did, but there was no chance to meet him. And that would have been my only chance. And I never got to meet him, unfortunately. So it's,
that's weird because you are in the same. I mean, you have a lot of connections here.
Yeah.
You live in the same city, very close by, you know.
Yeah.
And that's very. I mean, I was thinking that you already met him.
You would think I met David Lee Roth once. Like I said, I met Alex that day literally for 1 second. I don't even think we exchanged names or that he knew who I was or whatever. I know Michael pretty well, and I know Sammy pretty well, and of course I mentioned Gary Sharon, but that's the only three from Van Halen that I actually have a connection with. But I never got that connection with Alex, with Wolfie, or with Eddie. So the Van Halen brothers, the Van Halen lineage, the bloodline, unfortunately, I don't have them in my life, and that's a big deal for me. I really wish I'd found some kind of connection with Eddie, whether we could have done something together, even just sat and had a couple beers together and just talked about life, even without talking about music. I think I really would have loved to have been able to say I met Eddie or had him in my life somehow. It's a huge regret.
Right. I'm sorry. Bueno, lo que le preguntaba si lo conoció a Eddie, dijo que tuvo dos cosas de las que se ha, ¿cómo se dice regret en español? Ahora me lo olvidé yo. I forgot the word in Spanish, can you believe it? Okay. Dos cosas que me arrepiento es que una que no vi a Queen en vivo y la otra es que no he conocido a Eddie. Tuve la oportunidad, bueno, nos contó un poco la historia de Soul Circus antes de que empiece, con Sammy y Michael volviendo a Van Halen. Ahí apareció Soul Circus, y el tema de que con Eddie, bueno, ellos tocaron en un concierto, no entendí bien esa parte, pero bueno, estuvo en el backstage. Eddie estaba en una época un poquito complicada, donde no estaba demasiado social, entonces se cruzó con Alex un segundito nada más, y ya está. Y con Eddie le quedó ahí que no lo pudo conocer. Conoció a David Lee Roth porque él es un gran fanático de Van Halen, muy fanático, como lo es de Queen, lo acaba de decir hace un ratito. Con la parte de Queen, hablando de todo esto, de las cosas que se arrepiente, es de que no pudo verlo en vivo. Pero como es amigo de Brian May le dijo: mira, si Eddie hubiera escuchado tu voz, habría dicho que tenés una excelente voz. Entonces ya con eso, él ya se dio por hecho. A pesar de que no pudo ver a la banda en vivo, pudo darse el lujo de que el mismo Brian diga: Eddie le hubiera encantado tu voz. Imagínate cualquier músico, cualquier cantante que que Freddie Mercury dijera: me gusta tu voz, sería, creo que todo. To me, Freddie was the voice. I mean,
yeah.
Beyond anything that I can. It's uncomparable.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. It's and again, I give Queen all the credit and all the blame for why I can't just stay in one band and do one sound. It's impossible. They were extremely fortunate to find each other, because to be in a band, to have other musicians that you perform and play with and create with that are willing to take those kind of chances in life and in music is such a gift. And the closest I got to that was Talisman. We were able to tap into some different things. You'll hear diversity a lot with Talisman, but that was the closest band to be able to do a lot of the things that I really wanted and that was missing in my life musically. And when I lost Marcel, I really lost a huge part of my musical life, my history, and my future. When Marcel took his life, it was really, I knew it was going to be difficult to replace that side of creativity, that side of energy and fun, and really not caring. Marcel and I, we controlled Talisman because we didn't care about staying on one course. We got, oh my God, we early on, from the record company to other people in the band, other personnel in the band, they were just, they were saying, you guys are crazy. Why are you changing your sound? Why are you trying to do this? Why are you trying to do that? We're not trying. We're doing things that make us happy. It's normal. It's if you're doing things unnaturally, then it's not normal. But for us, it was always natural. It was always normal to try new things.
Right. Bueno, eso es lo que me está hablando un poquito de culpa a Queen, y le agradece a Queen por hacer lo que ha hecho y por tener esa amplitud mental de querer hacer diferentes cosas. Algo muy parecido. Lo más cercano fue Talisman, donde su música iba en distintas direcciones, y lamenta la pérdida de Marcel Jacob, que se suicidó y que era un gran compositor, y con él estaban haciendo un montón de cosas, y que fue lo más cercano de repente a esa temática de no tener una dirección lineal, ¿no? De poder ir a distintas direcciones. Justamente le iba a preguntar qué piensa un poquito del tema ¿no? Con Marcel se suicidó, para los que no saben, era de la banda Talisman. ¿Cómo tomás el tema después de haber vivido el suicidio tan cercano, ¿no? De una persona tan cercana a ti? ¿Cómo tomás... ¿Cómo manejás eso, no? Porque hoy en día estamos en época de pandemia y mucha gente se ha deprimido. How do you take this thing about the suicide since the pandemic? People is a bit depressed. More people are being depressed. And you experience that so close.
Well, the thing is, I guess I'm lucky in the fact that. I was able to make a positive from the pandemic and lockdown, quarantine. First of all, having a home studio that's a big factor. But second of all, because I have so much creative outlets, I have so many people coming to me for sessions. I have albums I could be making. I have things that I'm creating with friends and these quarantine videos. Music became my therapy. Music was my escape. My escape from realizing I can't leave the house. I can't tour. I can't do anything. A lot of people that were stuck at home or had to work at home, it was miserable for them, and they started getting kind of a symptom of going crazy. I got to get out of here. For me, I found a way of harnessing that and turning it into creativity. I got to the point where I didn't want it to go back. I didn't want to go back to leaving the house, to going back and traveling and dealing with airplanes and lost luggage and shitty hotels. I love the luxury of creating and constantly coming up with things that make me happy and making other people happy. So I did find a positive in this, and I've made a lot of music. There's 2 other albums that I made during this time from last year until now that they're finished, but nobody knows of them yet because we're not ready to discuss them. But when they come out, when I'm able to discuss it, people are going to love things. They're going to freak out. It's really good.
Tell us first, okay?
Well, yeah, it's I don't know when. And then that was the other thing too. Give
us something.
No,
give us a hint.
No.
Please.
Zero. Nada. The only other thing that I did besides the new duets album, I'm gonna start working on a new JSS album. The only other thing that people know about that they haven't heard yet is the new project I'm doing with David Ellefson, Ellefson Soto. We did an entire record and it's mixed and it's ready. We're just discussing what the next steps are. But that's the only other thing that people have heard about, but nobody's heard yet. They've only heard the single that we put out, the cover of the Riot song.
Right. Well, we're going to talk about Ellefson. Dave was going to be as our guest in 2 weeks, and sadly what is going on in his life, hopefully it's going to be a big misunderstanding, and that's it, because we love his music,
Absolutely.
and he's a nice guy.
He's an amazing guy. I think, and I'm going to speak for it's not no surprise, and it's not anything anybody would disagree with me. I think it was a huge mistake that he was let go from Megadeth. What happened in his life is a personal item. It has more to do with him personally and his family than it has nothing to do with Megadeth, has nothing to do with his career or anybody. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was, it was a complete misunderstanding, and it was something he apologized for. He stepped up and he was a man about it, and it should have been left at that.
But I disagree on the apology, because having cyber sex now it has to be something that also is going to be a taboo.
Yeah.
With all the problems we already have, is safer sex, you know.
And you know what?
It's intimate. I mean, it's something private.
And you know what? One thing about rock and roll, one of the things that, especially when we were kids, that we loved about rock and roll and rock stars is the image of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's like, yeah, you know, when you hear of Scandals, when you see of all the movie from Motley Crue and all the things that they did, when you see and hear all these stories, all these books and autobiographies from Aerosmith and bands from the 70s and the things that they did and the things they all got away with that they would not get away with now. What happened with David and his personal life is so mild. It's so nothing compared to all the other things that everybody else has done and gotten away with in life. And to me, Megadeth should have just sit back and said, you know what? I don't know how they think. I don't know how they tick. But what happened with David is more rock and roll than anything else that's going to happen for that band or with that band. And I'm not saying, I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying it's a good thing or bad thing. I'm just saying it's more of a rock and roll thing. And you think they would say, wow, that's actually so rock and roll. Instead, they fire him. To me, it's wrong.
Yes.
One of the